I think we're ready to put the roof on. So let me show you some tricks to make that an easy thing to do. I'm going to go to the second floor plan first of all. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to rename it the roof plan. So now I have a roof plan. Okay, and I want to draw a perimeter around the house where I want the roof to be, but I want to offset a couple of feet from that perimeter. Now, the advantage of having already put in our subfloor is I know that that subfloor is a great place for me to use. See these magenta lines? I can use that. I'll have to do some slight modification here and here and here because it doesn't, but for the most part, those are the exact locations of the lines that I want to define my overhang from. So I'm going to go down to the eyeglasses and I'm going to say isolate that category. So now what do I have? All I have is the edge, the outside edge of my subfloor all the way around the house. And I know that that goes to the same part of the exterior, the same part of the walls. It's the inside face of the plywood sheathing. So I can take this and use this to my advantage. So we're in architecture. I'm going to go over to roof. And I need to make a roof. I don't have that, so I will make a roof that satisfies my requirements. And I'm going to duplicate that. And I'm going to call it shingles, plywood. Those are the only two materials that I want in my roof. So we're going to say, okay. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change my structure to plywood sheathing. PLY. There we go. Plywood sheathing. The sheathing can be 3/4 of an inch thick. Okay. And I need to insert a finish. My mouse is really sensitive and it double clicks when I only click once a lot of times. So I'll take one of those out. And now this is going to be a finish. That's going to be my shingle. So I'll call it a finish. And I'm going to see what we have here for shingles. SHINGLES. Asphalt shingles is fine. Okay. I'm going to say, okay, so that's my material. And let's say it's a 1/2 inch thick, which is fine for this purpose. Okay, so let's take a look at it. I got my plywood sheathing and my asphalt shingle on top of that. So that's fine. That's what I want my roof to be composed of. And now I need to draw a perimeter and give it an offset. So I'm going to say from the line that we're going to draw around the house, I want the edge of my roof to be 2 feet away from that line. And I'm going to say pick a line. So when I come down here and I highlight, I can pick each one of these individually. But if I hit the tab key a couple of times, look what happens. It picks them all. So I'm going to accept that. And now it just put my roof in. Each one of these triangles indicate that there is a slope to the roof. And let's see. Now I'm going to come back down to my eyeglass and I'm going to reset my temporary hide. And so I can see my magenta lines and I know that, remember, it's following my plywood subfloor. And since there's no subfloor here, it didn't follow that. So what I need to do now is go back in and draw a line right there at that exterior. No, not yet, because I want to offset it. So I'm going to draw a line, but I still want to offset it by 2 feet. So I have to make sure to put that in there. Now I'm going to come back and draw that line from here. I'm just following the perimeter of the wall where I want that roof to be. And come down to here. I'll have to clean that up. So I got that in there. Here, whoops, let's see, how we looking there? You know what? I didn't get my offset there. So I don't know why I didn't get my offset, but I'm going to X on that and start over again. Back to the beginning. I've isolated this. I'm going to go to the roof. It's the incorrect roof. Let's see if I shot plywood shingles. Okay, that's what I want. I'm going to select a line and make that offset 2 feet. Then I'll come over here and double click or tab. There we go. So there it picked everything. I have some extra lines in there that I don't want, so I'm going to delete that. And it looks like there's 2 here, so I'll delete that. All right, so that's looking pretty good now. I know I have my 2-foot overhang. I'm going to come back here and reset my temporary height, and I can see that I have my overhang all the way around, but see, it's following the line of the plywood subfloor, which I don't want it to do. So here, I can take this guy out, and I can take this guy out, and I can just clean that up because that's in the right location, and that's in the right location. But I need to come across with a roof here, so I'm going to, again, this time I'm going to draw a line that has a 2-foot offset, and I'm simply going to come over to the inside face there, and look what happens. It's drawing it with a 2-foot offset, and I'm going to come back and draw a line, make sure I have my 2-foot offset. I do, and I'm going to draw a line from down here, try to snap onto that. There we go, and then come down to here. At my 2-foot offset there, I can fill it or extend trim and do the same thing here, which means that I don't need any of these anymore. And I can clean this guy up. So how's it looking? Here's a little place that needs some attention, and this needs attention. So I'm looking at the edge of my overhang now, and it looks good until we get to here. And at that point, it doesn't look good. So I'm going to delete a few more of these. I don't need this one, and I don't need this one. And let's zoom in there and get that guy out of there. I don't need this one, so we'll get rid of him. And then I'll clean this up. I'll just send the roof overhang straight across like that, so it'll be deeper right there. I might change that in the future, but look at what I have now. All the way around. And if I click on one of these lines, it's telling me that the slope of the roof is 912, and I can change that to any number that I want, but 912 is a nice steep pitched roof. And I really haven't paid attention to where the elevation of that is, so I'll just say okay. And let's take a look at what I just did. And we'll look at it in 3D first. And you'll see that there's a problem because the roof isn't high enough, but it did automatically draw that roof in. So let's go back to the first floor, and then let's just go to one of these sections. We'll go to this one. I'm going to flip it back and go to that view. And I can see my roof. And I know that my roof needs to be at this elevation right here. So let's see, let's annotate, and we'll draw a detail line. My roof is actually right there. And then I'll just grab the roof and move it. And I'm going to move it from this point right here, just straight up to that level right there. And so you can see why I didn't really pay any concern about where the roof was. Our section doesn't show the entire roof yet. I have to drag it up a bit. So let's grab this little guy and drag him up. Now I can see the whole roof. Let's go look at it in 3D, what we did. There we go. In a matter of moments, it's put the roof on the house. Now let's say I wanted this roof to be a gable, this end to be a gable end. So I would click on the roof, and let's go to the first floor plan. I'll be able to see it there. And I said I wanted this to be a gable, so I'll simply click on that. Right now it's a 9/12 pitch. I'll come up here and uncheck define slope and say okay. And now let's go back and see what just happened. We'll go to the 3D view. And now that's a gable. Instead of having a slope to it, now it has a gable there, gable end on it. And we could fix that a little bit later. But for right now, we'll stop right here. And let me just go back to the first floor and just explain what we did a little simpler now. I'm going to say architecture, roof. And that's the kind of roof that I want. And I'm just going to draw some lines. So I'll just draw a line right here, right here, right here, right here, and right there. So you're drawing the edge now. What I've done is I've drawn the edge of the roof there. And if I want it to have a slope, I can click here and then I can change that. Maybe I want the pitch of that to be steeper, like 12/12, which is a really nice steep pitched roof. And I might want that to be a gable, so I will say that does not define a slope. And I'll do the same thing over here and say that doesn't define a slope, and then come over to here and change this to a 12/12 pitch. And say, okay. So we'll take a look at that real quick, what I just did there. Let's go back to the 3D view. And it's in the back, so let's spin it around a little bit here. And where did it go? Let's see, back to the first floor plan. Let's make the base level the second floor. That'll raise it up. And then let's go to that 3D view and see if we can see the roof now. I still can't see that roof that I just drew in there. I want it to show, well, maybe it's there, but yep, there it is. Or we just had the crop, we had it crop. So I'm going to isolate this guy. Oops. Just to show you what I did. Let's isolate that guy, isolate element. And so there's what I did. I applied a 12/12 pitch to those two sides. I said these two sides don't have a pitch to it. Whoops, double click is a little too sensitive. Spin it around. You can see I have two gable ends and then I have two pitched ends there. And so that is how the roof is made. We define a perimeter of the edge of the roof. We give the roof a slope or not a slope. If we want a gable end, we wouldn't give it a slope. And if we didn't want a gable end, we wouldn't give it a slope. So I'm going to delete that, come back down to the eyeglasses and reset my temporary hide so everything is there. And I'll just spin it around real quickly so you can see how easy it was to put that roof on. And it's a hip roof. It looks to me, see, I can see that there's two angles here. So something's not right. So before we end this video, I'm going to edit the footprint, go back. I'll be able to see it in any footprint. And why? Let's see what the slope of this guy is. Look at that. Somehow it changed to 15.5, 12. 15 something 12, but I think we were doing 9/12 around there. So what's this side? 9/12. 9/12. Okay, that was just a good eye on my part that somehow that particular slope changed. I don't know how or why it did, but you can see now that looks a lot better. And let's just spin it around a little bit more just to take a look at it. Everything else is looking good. I might make this a gable too. Maybe a little more impressive. But for right now, that's the first tutorial on making a roof, and I'll stop it right here.